Hey, my name is Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with HealthyBlackWoman.com and SuccessfulBlackWoman.com. This is my good friend Shaquita Graham with LovingTheBlackMan.com and Atechco.com. How are you doing today, Shaquita?
I'm doing great, Noma. How are you?
I'm doing great. Our topic today is one that's probably near and dear to both our hearts because it's talking about women and making money. So the topic is the article is at financialjuneteenth.com, and it's called "A Few Rules for Steering Clear of Havoc at Home for the Breadwinning Women." In reading this article, a couple of things stuck out to me. Okay, let's see. So she says, the person who wrote the article says that she cites an expert who also practices, an attorney who also practices family law, says, "Most of my divorce cases involve the man being the breadwinner, but that has been changing over the past few years." So what he's saying is that he's seeing more and more women being the breadwinners. So then financial experts give some advice about what a woman should do if she's a breadwinner. The first thing is, it says, let's face it, you're prone to suffer higher degrees of stress, infidelity, and divorce. Okay. And then it goes on to say, men who rely on their female partners are 5 times more likely to cheat than men who earn equivalent rates of pay or earn more than their spouses. Then the second part that also stood out to me was it says that they suggest rewriting the traditional story. It says, forget about the rescued by the prince story and do what is best for you and your family. Work-life balance is not a woman's issue. Men also feel that similar tug of war as women do in this situation. So what are your thoughts, Shaquita?
Well, for the most part, I really liked what this article had to say. Financial Juneteenth, they really have some good content. There were some great tips. 2 of my favorites were, if you are, and I really looked at it from the standpoint of earning more money than your spouse, or you're the only person earning money, which is my least favorite part. Okay. But my favorite tips were cater to the male thought process, hire assistants, and I added myself, determine the motivation behind the sacrifice. So as many people know, I've been married for 13 years, and there's been times when my husband made more than me, and there's been times when I've made more than him. There's been times when I wasn't working, he wasn't working. And I think one of the most important things that we did is we eventually got to the point where we didn't look at it as one person taking care of the other one. We kind of focused on the fact that we're a team and we take care of each other. But at the same time, my husband has always been a hard worker, and so have I. So in general, I think we have to take a team approach to earning and providing the livelihood for our family, because that's done in more ways than working. And I think that, we do have to be careful, because a man is kind of bent towards being the person that does all of the providing. So I'll stop there for a second because I want to hear what you think about this.
I think that one of the most important things that you'll learn as a woman, if you care about men, is that they really need to be respected. Respect is something that is very high on their priority list. I don't need to know why it is. I just know that it is what it is. And one of the ways that you show respect to your husband, if you're in a situation where you're earning more than him, or you're the only one earning money, is, including him in the decisions, like the article says. It's like, still do the teamwork thing where decisions are made together, or even if when he was the one who was the main provider made, the final decision or you leaned towards him to make more of the decisions, I don't think that structure should change because of where the money is coming from, or where the source of the money is coming from. So I agree with you in the sense that, you're a team. But I do think that it's very, very important. I can't say I've always known this. I had to learn as I went along, that respect is very important. And if you always keep that as a high priority as a wife, to understand that you cannot disrespect your husband in any way. And sometimes it's not done deliberately, but somehow a lot of times when women make more money, a little bit of disrespect starts to creep in somehow, or it can creep in somehow. I'll be brutally honest. I would really rather my husband made more money. I would really rather he stayed in that provider role. I do not want a man sitting on the couch while I rush off to work and he starts, taking on the more, what we traditionally understand as the female role. I don't want that. However, I, like you, Shaquita, have been in a situation where I made more money or made all the money, and my husband and I have gone back and forth. And sometimes you don't have a choice. If somebody loses their job or your circumstances, you move and so on, you don't always have a choice. However, my preference is for us to both make money, but for the burden of providing for the family to be on the husband's shoulders, and for, especially when you have small children, for the burden of taking care of the kids to be on the woman. And of course, this will become more flexible as the kids get older. It can become more flexible depending on the couples, but there's a reason why things start to go wrong when you start to, as the article says, rewrite history. I don't agree with that.
Yeah, so basically, again, a lot of my thoughts surround the context that we find ourselves in as in the Black community, right? So, Farrakhan's daughter, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, his daughter talked about the fact that Black women in this society right now are being thrust in the forefront for the purpose of division between the Black man and the Black woman. And that's what I think we have to really keep in mind and be careful of. And so my husband and I, we have really got this teamwork thing down where we pass the baton. So if the corporations are leaning towards me, then I go in and make the paper for us. You know what I'm saying? If that's what we need to do, because I'm not going to require my husband to be emasculated in a corporation, or to be talked down to, or have to be subjugated to a white male, or to a white supremacist situation, if we can avoid that. So I'm trying to cover him in that scenario, but instead the society tries to flip it and make it so, yeah, you're more educated than your man. You're more capable and driven than your man. What's he up to? He's dusty. Oh, and so you have to be careful of that mindset. I knew of a couple where the woman was making a lot of money and she wouldn't share the money with her husband. She's like, this is my money and you this and you're that. And that's the thing that I think you need to be wary of. At the same time, you do want a teammate that is as motivated and as ambitious as you are. Now, there was a time when my husband, we moved from one state to another, and he left his good job for my better job. Mm-hmm. And it ended up giving him time to spend more time with my sons until he started working. So we have to think about all of these other things, because a lot of times in this materialistic paradigm that we have, this European mindset, a lot of times we start to look at things in a jilted kind of a way, where we're not seeing the fact that our husband loves us, we love our husband, we're working together as a team and we're building. We start to get very divisive. And I think that is the thing that this article is kind of addressing, how not to do that. So that's where I'm coming from on it.
One of the key things that you said was, that your husband is very motivated. So one of the things that I think needs to be addressed is that, sometimes this is a temporary thing, or it's a situation that you're forced into or whatever, but we're not talking here, again, like I said, a couch guy who sits on the couch while his wife goes to work. We're talking about doing what's best for your family. And I think that when it's a temporary situation, or it's a situation that you've worked out that works best for you. I had a similar situation with the almost exact situation that you described, where we moved from one state to another, and my husband had to forego his job, and I was able to now take advantage of a better opportunity. And again, he to this day will say he's so grateful that he got to spend that time with our daughter. We only had one kid at the time. He enjoyed teaching her ABCs and all this other stuff, but that was a temporary situation. And then he did go back to work. I am traditional in the sense that I don't believe that that should be a permanent situation where the husband's the one at home all the time, chasing the kids, changing diapers, cooking, cleaning, all that. I do feel like that does emasculate him. And I do think that men and women were not the same. There's some roles that we are more comfortable in and that we fit in. Of course, there are exceptions, and I know the comments will reflect that. But I personally don't think that that's a good idea. And one of the things that I noticed at the beginning of the article is that it says that when the woman is the one making more money or all the money, the probability of her man cheating goes up significantly. And that obviously is an indicator that he's feeling some kind of way, he's acting out, and there's problems. And then they're now going to face another problem of infidelity. So I know I don't mind being called, too old-fashioned or backward or whatever. It's just what I believe. I think that you have to do what you have to do in the situation, do what's best for your family. But I also think that the woman being in the role of bringing in all the money or most of the money, and having that burden on her, I don't think that that's something that I would like to deal with on a long-term basis.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that I think that a man is not built normally to be around the house being a house husband kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think that that's going to wear on his psyche. I don't think that they're naturally built like that. But then also I've had situations where, my husband wanted to, say for instance, he had a venture he wanted to do. So I was the breadwinner to provide for his venture, or I had a venture, maybe it was like going to school, getting an extra whatever. Then he was the breadwinner and he provided for my venture. So I think that's a good way to look at it. A lot of times the problems that were mentioned in the article are not just about the amount of money that was being made. It's about the attitude that people take on when they get the money. Right. So I think that that's the thing that we need to be careful of, because when we start winning in the corporate world as women, sometimes we come home with this real alpha attitude. And that, I think, is where the problem, really the root of the problem, because you can't say, okay, well, I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning, I am not giving you the honor and respect and adoration that I would give you because now I'm making more money. That's where that division comes in. And that's why when she says things like hire assistants, because I know there's times where I couldn't cook those Cornish hens and that homemade macaroni and cheese and those collard greens after I have been in conference calls all day and doing whatever. So I did have to bring assistants in my home to help me. And that's why I added the tip about determining the motivation behind the sacrifice. So if I say that we're going to spend extra money on domestic assistance, why are we doing this? We're working towards something. And the last thing I was going to say about that is sometimes when you don't want to cook and clean and all of those things, you have to realize that that's still going to be your role, even though he might have more time, because you're going to emasculate him by telling him, I need you to make these collard greens for the family. That's going to be emasculating. So again, you have to think about, what is my motivation for this and how are we going to manage this ahead of time? So I'm going to stop talking.
I will say, I've got no problem with, and my husband does do this every now and then. He'd be like, take a break tonight. I got it. And sometimes that means he's actually cooking. Sometimes that means he's going to grab takeout. I'm not like you. And I do understand what you're saying. There's a difference between him deciding that, you know what, you've had a rough day at work, let me handle this, as opposed to you, pointing your finger and saying, you better do this, that, and the other because I'm doing this, that, and the other. There is a difference. And I do think the point that you made, which is very, very important, is it's about your attitude. It really is about your attitude. That is the main thing. If your attitude is that he's less than, or he's not worthy of respect and, like you said, adoration because he's not working or he's not bringing as much money, you're headed down the divorce lane or the trouble lane or something. It's not going to work out. It just won't work out. And like I said in the beginning, I learned how important it is that, and of course we want to be respected as well, but I've learned that it's very important. Men really need to be respected. And if you show them that you don't respect them, again, it's going to be hard to coexist with a man who feels like he's not respected. I'll let you get the last word. We've run long today.
Yeah, we've run long, but the bottom line is, it's all going to come down to, just because you're in the boardroom, don't forget to get in that bedroom and get some pots on that stove, and you've got to do all of that. And
right.
So
I agree.
That's all I would have to say about it.
I agree. This is my good friend Shaquita Graham with lovingtheblackman.com and techco.com. Check out her two sites. And I am Nomalanga Mhlauli-Moses with healthyblackwoman.com and successfulblackwoman.com. And of course, this is another segment of Your Black Women, where Black women keep it real. Thanks, Shaquita.
Thank you, Noma. Thank you, guys.